after you click the link to spin up a cloud server, you'll be prompted to either sign up for Runpod and claim a free amount of credits, or sign in if you already have an account. So I'm going to sign in, and I'll just use my Google. And now I can select what type of GPU I want for my system. So I'm going to pick the A40 GPU, which is good enough. And I can name the pod, changing it from the random name that it gave me. So I'll name it Siggraph Asia. And I can choose a spot instance. These are interruptible, so when demand spikes, you might get your volume shut down. So I'm going to choose on demand here for 40 cents an hour because I don't want my system to be interrupted, and we'll just wind it down when we're all done, and then we won't be billed anymore. Now, one thing to note, at the very top here, you have the option to add a network volume and share it between all of the pods that you spin up. Now, this can be very useful when you want to deploy for an entire classroom. The disadvantage here is that all of the pods need to be in the same data center region, so you have less availability for the pods. So I'm going to show you when I select these regions, it's filtering, so only certain servers are available. So you can move regions very easily and copy the files from your folders to different regions. But for now, we're not going to use a network volume at all. We're just going to spin up on an A40. And since we're doing that, all the files will be on our pod, and they'll be destroyed afterwards. So we'll need to download them to our local machine when we're done. Okay, so we've got a volume. On demand is the way to go. So we just click deploy on demand, and our pod is going to start to spin up. And this will be pulling the Docker container from Docker Hub. So it is going to pull the Comfy 3D repo, which is pushed every night with the latest release from ComfyUI. So if we click on the Logs tab, we can see that Runpod is automatically pulling down our Comfy 3D Docker container. Now, this Docker container was automatically updated 5 hours ago. And what updates that is, in the Comfy 3D repo, I have a GitHub action running, which will automatically build 2 versions of the image. One is the main version of the image. Every time there's a new update to the core of ComfyUI, it builds that image. And then the other is that they have a nightly image of ComfyUI with all the most recent changes. So I actually have 2 versions of Comfy 3D. One is latest and the other is nightly. So you can experiment with both. But for this pod, we're just pulling the latest version. And the really great thing about this is every time your students deploy a new version of the container, they will get the most up-to-date version of ComfyUI. Incidentally, you can also use specific versions of Comfy if you want to have a set deployable instance. You know you're standardizing on version 0.3.71 running on CUDA 12.8. You can do that in production, so you'll have absolutely no surprises. So when this finishes extracting, we will get a button to click to run ComfyUI in the web. So we see the pull's complete, and it's starting the container for Comfy. Now, if I switch from system to container, we can see exactly what's happening in the inside of the container for Comfy. So since it's been pulled already, it's starting to run the Comfy server now. And we can look at all the server logs here. So system had all the information for how Runpod was pulling the container, and then container has all the logs for what is going on inside of our Comfy instance. So for those of you who have used Comfy before, this will look very familiar. Okay, so now we see starting server, and to see the GUI, go to this URL. That means that we've launched successfully. We see no errors in the import for all of our custom nodes, and we can go over to the Connect tab right here. And it still says not ready, so we're just going to give that one more second, and now it says ready. Okay, so our instance of ComfyUI is ready. We can just click on this link, and it will open up our secure URL. So this is a secret URL that we could share with team members, but it's only valid for the amount of time that our server is live. So the moment we destroy our server, we stop getting billed for it, and this URL goes away forever. So we're prompted here with model templates we can use that are official, coming from ComfyUI themselves, and we'll get into those later. Then we also have models from the extensions that we have installed automatically. So I'm just going to click to close the template window, and to get it back, you click the C and you browse templates. Now, we also have a model downloader here that is an add-on that I wrote. And one of the things that it lets you do is it lets you pick and choose and automatically download models and install them in the correct location. So we're going to grab a few models that we need, largely these Chiwen image models. So I'm going to pick all of these, and we're going to grab the Hunyan 3D models. And if you use Flux, there are some models on Hugging Face that are license required. So you'll see this here. In order to do that, in order to grab those, you need to log in with Hugging Face. So you need to get a read-only token from Hugging Face by clicking this link, and then that will prompt you to log in and then grab your token. So I could log in here and confirm, and this will ask me to make a new token, so I can name it. And then create the token. It'll give me this token. I'll just delete it after. I'm going to copy it. I'm going to go back in. I'll paste it in there, and I'll choose login. And then it should say that I'm all logged into Hugging Face. Now I will be able to download even token gated models. So like it says here that the autoencoder for Flux license is granted. So with that done, I can click this download selected button and start downloading my models, and that'll just take a few minutes, and I will have all the models downloaded into my Docker container running on the cloud. And then I'll be able to work with all of these models. Now, I can always go to my pod here and check the logs, and go to container logs and see exactly what it's doing. So it's downloading models here based on the configuration file that I've set up. And you can suggest more models to add to the configuration file. So that is in this repo, the Hugging Face model downloader, and the model config is just this JSON file, which links to various repo IDs, subfolders, file names, local paths in Hugging Face. So this all corresponds to where the models are saved in Hugging Face and what local path they need to be saved to. So if you find new models that I don't have in here, you can just submit a pull request to this repo. And I will update this as time goes on. The awesome thing about this is that if I need to add a new model to a class, for a class to use, I just update this file, redeploy this add-on, and then redeploy my Docker container, and we have new models available for everybody. So you can see that if I just refresh this here, I've got certain models already downloaded, and then these are still due to come in. So in just a few minutes, I'll have all the models I need downloaded and ready to work with. Okay, so I'm going to go to my image creation, and I will search for QN, and we're going to do the QN image text to image, this one right here, and we will load this up, and in my prompt here, I'm just going to erase that and paste in, create a pencil sketch of a stylized cartoon 1980s wrestler standing in a full body T-pose facing front, rotated at a slight angle. And I will run that. And we'll see what we get. Okay, so we've got a pretty good character here that was generated, but there's some things wrong with our T-pose. I'd like his palms facing down, and I'd like his legs to be a little bit straighter so that we can create a 3D model from it. And I'd like his head to be facing front. Let's see if we can modify this using GUN Image Edit 2509. So I'm going to copy this image, and we'll get a new workflow, browse templates, and we'll search for 2509 and grab this template here. And when that loads up, we are going to paste in our image. So it's saying we need the lightning 4-step LoRa. We'll just pick the right LoRa off of our list because we already do have that set up. So in the LoRa section here, where is it? Here, this one. We need to pick that lightning 4-step, and then we can paste in our original image here just by selecting, doing Control V. That should have worked. So that's pasted image. There we go. And let's say change so the wrestler's palms are open and facing down. So our original image, he has clenched palms, and we want to open those palms and have them face down. Okay, so we got a pretty good generation. The palms are open, but they are not facing down. So let's just copy this image again and paste it into this frame with Control V. And what we'll do is we will change this so that we say change to the rest of his palms are facing down and parallel to the floor, and we'll run it again. So we're just going to start iterating over our wrestler until we get the desired result that we want, and we can do this pretty easily. And let's all right, getting closer. Let me copy this and we'll work with this a little bit more, and we'll paste this in here. And we're going to change the prompt to say, instead of the pencil sketch, we'll say make a 3D render of this wrestler. And run it again. All right, so there we go. We got a 3D render of the wrestler. And now we can copy this image and we can go in our workflows here to 3D and do a HY 3D workflow. And we will paste in our wrestler with Control V. And we'll run the workflow. Okay, so we've got our 3D mesh right here generated, and then we see it's texture painted over here, and we've got UV maps done, and the final model is over here. So I think that his head was rotated a bit too far for this model because it got a little bit messed up. So let's go back to the original here. And we can say rotate character so that it is facing toward the front. And get him a little bit more facing to the front. Okay, so now we've got So now we've got a good front-facing view of the character. We can copy this image and go to our HY3D and try to get a better render of it. And we'll just paste it in here, and then run it. So what this does is it removes the background and then gives a preview of the mask. Looks like that's our old image. So I'm going to cancel this. Paste in the image. There we go. And run it again. Now we've got our masked out background, and we'll generate the mesh. So now we have our rendered mesh here. I've got a good view of his face. And here we have the final 3D model from one view. And just to show you, if you do get, if you play with the rotations and you get a 4-up view of your model, so from the front to the left, to the back, to the right, then you can split these up into 3 views and render it in the multi-view, and you do get better results. So it just takes a little bit of playing around with the image editing model to get all 4 of these views, and that will get you a pretty clean model. Now, the nice thing about running in ComfyUI is that you can put this on a server and you can deploy it into the cloud and run this continuously. Your students can do this with very, very little cost because it's running for just 40 cents an hour. So this is cheaper than using cloud credits for model inference providers. And once you get a pretty good render from image to 3D using Hunyan, you can move to a higher end renderer like Demos Rodin. So now here we go, we've got our higher quality render from the multi-view.